Hello and welcome to the finale of the Startups to Watch pitch competition at VERGE 24. I'm Jake Mitchell. I'm the Senior Manager of Startup Programs here at Trellis Group. Over the last 2 days, we've had 25 entrepreneurs pitch across our 5 sectors: buildings, drawdown, industry, transport, and forgetting the last one, but there are 5, I promise. It's been an incredible competition to date. We had over 110 applications and only 5 are remaining today. The way the competition today is going to work is you'll hear from the 5 entrepreneurs, each who have 2.5 minutes to pitch, after which we'll invite our industry experts to contextualize the pitches and add the commentary and how they fit into the broader economy. So, are you ready for the Startups to Watch finale? Come on, come on. These startups deserve it. They're the bold, courageous ones pushing forward companies to confront the climate crisis. So with that, I am excited to welcome our 2 esteemed experts to the stage. Please join me in welcoming Mike Schroepfer, partner at Gigascale Capital, and Kim-Mai Cutler, partner at Initialized Capital. Hey guys, welcome.
Am I in the middle?
Yeah.
Kim and Mike, super thrilled to have you here. Thank you. I forgot to mention, actually, how we'll decide the winner is all of you. So first off, thank you to the live stream folks for tuning in. You won't be able to vote, but thank you, we love you. The people in the room today will decide the winner of Startups to Watch. So I'll lead you through that at the end. So without further ado, let's welcome our first startup. We have Kumar, CEO at Ateios Systems.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Dr. Rajan Kumar. I'm the CEO and founder of Ateios Systems, where we're building better batteries through manufacturing. If we want to build a sustainable world, powering all the devices that help us move, live, and integrate AI, we have to build over 300 terawatts of batteries. And to meet this demand, the amount of components to supply these batteries would cover 7 Californias. Unfortunately, the current manufacturing method that the industry uses can't meet that demand because it uses a very expensive, toxic process to manufacture these key components called the electrode. And so it results in high cost, limited battery performance, and a significant amount of emissions. So here at Ateios, we've developed a solution with the Department of Energy where we could use the inspiration from the printing industry to manufacture these electrodes using light instead of heat. And what we see is that we have the ability to shrink the gigafactory to a fraction of the size while increasing output by 5x, improve battery life by 50%, and a nearly 96% reduction in the emissions. And this is a platform tech that we can apply for all batteries. And if you look at the electrode, it is the most critical component in the battery. It accounts for 85% of this $85 billion market. And our go-to-market strategy is supplying the components to OEMs that are building the batteries in the consumer space. This is the largest segment with the least technical risk and the highest margins. This is a beachhead for us to attack the grid and mobility applications. And so I'm sure half of you are like, ugh, batteries. You know, it's like investing in a snail. It takes 3 years and $146 million before you get $1. But at Ateios, we've revolutionized that model, developing the first fabless model, where we have our technology integrated into a production line, where we can produce 2 gigawatt hours today with less than $3 million raised. And this year, in the past year, we've generated about $500,000 in developmental contracts, delivered to 10 customers, and we now have inquiries from the major OEMs for battery paid pilots. So in this competition, we have a first mover advantage. We were the first one to deliver solvent PFA-free electrodes, and we're beating our competitors on performance, cost, yield, and climate impact. And we're the team to do that. We're the only battery startup that is able to generate significant amount of profit with less than $3 million raised, and we're the company to build sustainable.
Thank you, Raj. Next up, we have Kate Murphy, CEO at Aquari. Thank you, Kate.
I got overexcited. Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, VERGE. My name is Kate Murphy. I'm co-founder and CEO of Aquari, and we are decarbonizing one of the toughest to decarbonize industries, mining, using carbon dioxide removal. So mining often gets a bad rap, but if we're going to electrify everything, that means we're going to need a lot of metals. Mining is necessary to complete the energy transition, yet it's also one of the toughest industries to decarbonize. And so at Aquari, we're pioneering a brand new way of decarbonizing the mining industry by turning old, degraded mine sites into carbon sinks. So what you see on the right here is a pit lake. This is a body of water that forms in an open pit mine after mining operations have ceased and they turn off the pumps that keep them dry. They can be over 100 billion liters of water, and for the most part, they are considered pure liabilities. We turn these liabilities into assets by adding alkaline minerals, which you can think of like an antacid, to the water in such a way that it induces the drawdown of CO2 directly from the atmosphere into the water, and eventually the conversion of that CO2 into minerals that are similar to a limestone or a chalk. Now what this means is that we've achieved permanent storage since limestone is stable for millennia. It's easy to measure since we're working within a contained system. And energy requirements are very low compared to other engineered carbon removals. And so this represents a massive opportunity for impact. The capacity of a single site can be well into the millions of tons or tens of millions of tons for a large site like the one you see on the right, which is over a mile long. And our costs are low, generally in the range of $30 to $70 per ton, depending on the site. And our high measurability and permanence ensure that we can command a high price, well over $200 per ton in the short to medium term. And so what this means is that the profit potential from a single site like the one you see here, storing 10 to 30 million tons of CO2, is well into the billions of dollars. And this is only one site. We've identified thousands of sites globally, and we estimate total global capacities are well over 100 gigatons of CO2. And so we're gaining traction with both carbon buyers and mining companies. We've pre-sold 250 tons, and we have a letter of intent in place with the carbon marketplace. And we're in active discussions with several major mining companies and government agencies and have a technology evaluation agreement in place with one of them. So if you're a buyer, an investor, or if you work with the mining industry, we would love to hear from you. Please feel free to get in touch.
Good afternoon. I want you to stop and think for just a moment of every building you've ever been into or seen that's larger than your house. Because they all have one thing in common. Their air conditioning systems are broken. It actually takes about 2/3 of a building's power to keep us comfortable, and comfort now accounts for a staggering 15% of global emissions. My name's Sam Ringwaldt, CEO and co-founder of Conry Tech. And I've worked alongside my co-founders Brenda and Ron for the last 20 years, bringing revolutionary technology to market in the air conditioning space. In fact, we were able to see 60% global market share. We've already air conditioned over 3.5 billion square feet of buildings, and we've already saved a gigaton of CO2 emissions. But with predictions that there's 10 new air conditioning units getting installed every second from now until 2050, we thought it was time to get back to first principles and really rethink engineering from the ground up. And that's why we established Conry Tech, where we've developed these hyper-efficient micro-chillers we're calling bull ants. These get installed throughout a building in a patented decentralized network, allowing us to deliver with precision just how much heating and cooling is required, allowing us to halve a building's energy bill. It does this by being spread out throughout this network so that everyone in the building can be kept comfortable. For the first time, we're able to vary the water temperature around a network. It seems really simple, but now we are keeping everyone comfortable, not just the CEO or whomever is in control of the thermostat. So these units, which are about the size of a cooler, are incredibly easy to install, and we can economically mass produce them. But these will allow us to improve tenant comfort, increase building efficiency ratings, and ultimately increase building valuations. It also opens up new sales channel opportunities, such as a subscription model we're calling Comfort as a Service, in addition to traditional sales channels. We know this market incredibly well. In fact, after 20 years of selling thousands of units into this market in global markets, we're going to go after a segment of the market worth $24 billion a year across malls and hotels, hospitals, schools, even data centers, leveraging those trusted customer relationships we have. We have just recently closed a pre-seed round. We're still just testing prototypes, but already we have international developers and owners chasing us to say when can they install it in their buildings, such as Hilton. So if you would like us to help revolutionize the industry again, make your buildings more comfortable, or help us save more gigatons of CO2 emissions, please contact me. And remember, Conry Tech is reinventing cool.
Hello, we all came here to VERGE to solve big problems. And the big problem that I want to talk to you about today is our food supply chain. I'm just talking about the manufacturing, processing, middle mile transportation, cold chain. That amounts to a massive amount of CO2 emissions. To put it into perspective, it's equivalent to 3 times the amount in the commercial aviation industry. These are big numbers. And when we want to solve a problem like this, first we need to evolve. So you have to take individual links in that chain and you need to make them better. One way to do that, for example, is to electrify middle mile transportation. But at Relocalize, we're in the revolution business. My name is Wayne McIntyre. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Relocalize. And we're in the business of getting rid of centralized factory, getting rid of trucks, and getting rid of supply chain. And the way we do it is simple. We take production to distribution centers in autonomous microfactories. What you're looking at here is the world's first autonomous microfactory. Everything happens there that would happen in a large factory. The only difference is no people and no trucks required to get the product to the customer. So when we talk about a food supply chain, it's typically about 9 steps, and you'll see a bunch of trucks and a bunch of moves, a bunch of touches, and a bunch of cold chain. But in our world, there is no chain. There's no chain at all. What we have is a system, a supply system of only 3 steps: manufacture, move, distribute. We're focused on products made of water because they're extremely heavy and carbon intensive to ship. This is the same reason Tesla's working with Pepsi. Only in our world, the Pepsi would be made at the distribution center. It wouldn't go on any trucks at all. Our business model is production as a service, so we partner with retailers. They give us long-term contracts, and along with our infrastructure partner, we deploy thousands of microfactories across North America to make product on site. The product we're making first is packaged ice because it's the most heavy and most expensive product to ship. It's the lowest of the lowest hanging fruit. And for the retailer, they get a 30% cost reduction, dedicated source of supply, and up to 90% carbon reduction. We've got a great team, as you might imagine, to deliver on a vision this big, including senior people from the industry. The most important thing here right now is we've built a POC. This is real. We're building a new one. And in that POC, we delivered a 97% transportation carbon emission reduction. This is big. And I hope you vote for removing trucks from our road for food. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex Blum, and I'm here to win the dance contest. No, everybody, I'm Alex Blum. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Applied Bioplastics, where we are making sustainable plastic affordable. Our journey starts in Bangladesh in 2017. I used to be a salesman, which you'll probably be able to tell, but after 10 years of doing that, I closed a really big deal when I was 27 years old. I got a $500,000 paycheck, and I decided to donate it to charity. That took me to Bangladesh, where I filmed a documentary in the world's largest refugee camp and noticed that their housing was awful. So while I was there, I was introduced to a nuclear physicist named Dr. Khan, who had developed a plastic material using a common agricultural waste in Bangladesh called jute. Together, we commercialized his invention to create the world's first natural fiber paneling that's actually cheaper than any other building material on Earth. With that, we have successfully built multiple refugee homes and installations, and that led us to a breakthrough in material science that I would like to describe to you today. So, the next piece here is our breakthrough in materials bonding. We have created the first bioplastic in the world to win on price. How did we accomplish that? We invented a compatibilizer that is able to bond polar and non-polar ingredients. And for those of us not in chemistry, that's bonding oil base with water base. So we were able to take really inexpensive agricultural waste, put it into plastic at very high proportions, in fact, up to 90%. While keeping the plastic properties. So this is now functional plastic that does the same job as the oil-based plastic. It's 20% cheaper. It works in the same machines. It's made in the same machines, and it costs less, which means the people in the plastics industry who have been resistant to change until now have their incentive structure redone. Now, being sustainable makes them more profitable. With that, we have been able to create a wide range of plastics. My co-founder is actually going around handing out samples. Please do make sure that we get those back. But check out what we've managed to make. Really appreciate your time today. Just a few examples of things that we have created over the years. And don't believe me, believe all these wonderful organizations that have funded us, awarded us. Thank you so much for letting me be here. Have a great rest of your conference.
Thank you to our 5 finalists. Let's give it up again for these incredible entrepreneurs doing amazing work. Woo-hoo. Woo. All right, well, we're about to turn to Kim and Mike to contextualize what we just heard, but first it's time for you, the in-person audience, to vote for the startup you believe will have the most impact. So the way to do that is take out your phone, open up the Whova app, the event app, and go to this session. It's in the keynotes. I believe you have to go to the subsection and click on Final Startups to Watch. In there, there'll be a polls button. Click that, and you'll be able to vote. Voting will be only open for about 5 minutes, so make sure to get it in now. All right, Kim and Mike, thanks for being here. You know, we don't have much time, so really let's just jump right into it. I'm curious to hear what stood out to you about the pitches, what struck you about these startups on stage. Kim, let's start with you.
Sure. I mean, the last presenter was obviously a great salesperson. He gave a great pitch. They're in all such different areas. I thought the Aquari mining company was really interesting. I don't think I've ever heard a startup taking that particular angle. So I think I have a lot of questions around, like, how long does it take to convert one of these pits into like a carbon sink? And then obviously batteries is a huge area of growth, and you know, the United States needs to have more control and sovereignty over its own battery supply at this point, given like geopolitical constraints. So that's also a very interesting market and a huge area of growth. So I think those are all really cool.
Definitely. What about you, Mike?
I'd say the thing that made me most excited is, I think to a T, every one of them had a reason why their product was cheaper. Oh yeah, it's also lower carbon and all the rest of it, but the sales pitch is actually, we make cheaper plastic, we make food cheaper, we make cooling a building cheaper, we make carbon removal cheaper, and I think that that's what it's really going to take to scale climate tech solutions we need into the multi-trillion-dollar investment we need annually to solve this problem.
So really lowering the green premium to get these products out.
I don't believe in a green premium. We believe in a green discount. It's like, you got to start with, you want this product because you like it, it's better, it's exciting, or it's cheaper, and it has to come with a kind of like, oh, by the way, it's good for the planet. It's sort of the little asterisk at the end. And so I'm really psyched to see that I think all 5 of these presentations had a very clear pitch as to why they were just cheaper than the incumbent product.
Definitely. That's going to move the needle. And to follow up on that, if we had time and we could invite all these startups on stage, what questions would you have for them? Or if you could pick one, where would you want to dig in and learn a bit more?
The number one place we would always dig in is just like the indication of customer interest. So if you've got 10 development contracts, what does that mean? If you've got an LOI, what does that mean? If you have 2 grocery partners, what does that mean? And like, how much risk are these customers taking on to show like how much appetite do they really have for the product? And so that's probably where we would go super deep on, just to understand like the urgency and, you know, the hair on fire nature of the problem.
Definitely. Mike, anything to add?
I mean, I would add on, just since we're so obsessed with finding solutions that are fundamentally cheaper and competitive, we spent a lot of time in the techno-economic analysis, the TEA. So I would love to dig in with each of them and sort of really understand from today to cheaper than incumbent, you know, kind of what's between you and that, and what are all the assumptions therein, because that's where we find a lot of businesses are sort of make or break.
Gotcha. I know this word has been kind of thrown around a lot at Verge, techno-economic analysis. Could you both give a little bit more context to what you're looking there with startups when you're looking to make an investment, and kind of what what this analysis actually means?
You can go first.
I'll dive in. I mean, There's a real tension here that I personally struggle with, I'll be honest, which is like you can get really excited about your spreadsheet and just like have this like massive model which spits out some piece of data. And having run large businesses for two and a half decades, you know, it is very hard to predict the future. So I think on one hand, you got to be careful to not sort of like overly be precise in it. But I think on the other hand, with hard tech, you can understand core assumptions. For example, at the end of the day, if I'm going to manufacture something, what is that thing made of? At what quantities and what weights? How much do those things cost? How complicated is the manufacturing process? What do I need to do to transport it? Like, that will give you a floor for costs. Like, you're not going to get lower than that. And really understanding the delta between energy input costs is often in a lot of things a huge, huge thing. So for us, it sort of boils down to at the end of this giant spreadsheet exercise, you have to basically say, all right, current product cost X, we think will cost Y, and embedded in that is the following three assumptions. Electricity prices are X. You know, we will improve our manufacturing yield from this to this. We'll get a voltage from that to that. Those are the risks you're investing in, that we will achieve these technology milestones. And most importantly, they do not involve commodity prices being cheaper than they are or violating the laws of thermodynamics, which sort of always win.
Well, we all love spreadsheets. That's why I had to ask and dig a little bit deeper. That's why we're all here. Kim, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, so Initialized, the firm that I work at, we are a generalist firm, so a lot of the climate companies that we have happened to fund over the last 10 years, you know, we were looking at companies that can progress through different funding stages, either with climate-specific funds or with generalist funds. And so, you know, I would say that, like, we will look at TAs, but we're also, given that we're a seed stage fund, we're also interested in, like, can you sell to a customer? Have you successfully closed customers? And then over time through the staging, we're looking at, particularly in the mid stages, like, can you get your unit economics correct and can you improve your margins over time? So I mean, an example company like that we funded for a couple years ago is one of their flagship customers, their very first customers was Portland General Electric. They are a wildfire adaptation company or climate adaptation company called Pano that does wildfire detection. And so when they closed that contract, we invested, and then over time, we've been looking at, like, as they deploy more and more cameras throughout the United States, Canada, and Australia, how are their margins improving, and how much can they scale, and what secondary and tertiary products can they add?
Great, thank you. And we are running out of time, so here's the fun part. I get to put you both on the spot. If you were in the audience and you could vote for one of the startups on stage today, who would you vote for and why? And I'm trying to stall a little bit to give you a little time.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Who wants to go first? Kim?
I'm really intrigued by Ateios and what they've built to date, and the contracts that they've signed, and, like, if they can actually produce, if they can have a battery production system that's safer and more beneficial to the environment, that's also cheaper, better, faster, that would be an awesome outcome.
Great, thank you for your vote. Mike?
Yeah, this is the problem with going second, is I'm unoriginal, because I was actually going to pick the same thing. I swear before you went I was going to say it. But I think batteries is just, you know, well, besides being cheaper, what I love is just massive markets. Like, if you have a better battery, you have unlimited demand. And so I do think there's a lot to be excited about there. And I think that's the other thing I'd say about just the spectrum broadly, is we have so many interesting, what I think of as multi-trillion-dollar problems, right? You know, whether it be energy or steel or cement, you know, chemicals is another trillion-dollar problem. And so as an entrepreneur, if you're tackling, you know, disrupting that scale of market, there's a lot of appetite for investors to dig in. And so I think batteries is definitely that, but we saw a lot of startups here, you know, from buildings to food, that are doing lots of exciting things there as well.
Definitely. Well, thank you both for your bravery and your votes there. Appreciate it. Before we reveal the results, because the results are in, I'd first like to announce our People's Choice Award winner, Arbin Carbon, who won on our 25 Climate Tech Startups to Watch feature article. We had a voting competition. So well done to Arbin. They received nearly 2,000 votes, so thank you for all of you who participated in that. Okay. Now, for the big moment, we have our results. And the winner of Startups to Watch and Trellis Group's 2024 Startup of the Year is, can we get a drum roll, please, from the crowd? Aquari. Aquari is the winner. Congratulations to Aquari and their team. Thank you all for voting. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you.